The conflict in Ukraine intensified to a more critical stage, with Russian President Vladimir Putin claiming significant battlefield advantage and a deepening of Moscow's military alliance. Putin has asserted that Russian forces are closing in on the decisive phases of the war, alleging that over 10,000 Ukrainian troops, totaling 31 battalions, have been encircled and trapped in a major blow to Ukraine's eastern front. In a televised briefing, Russian military commanders detailed these supposed gains, emphasizing a strategy aimed at encouraging surrender rather than outright destruction, with Putin publicly advocating for mercy for those who lay down their arms. This optimistic assessment from the Kremlin is paired with a brutal escalation in aerial assault. The Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, has been subjected to a massive barrage of ballistic missiles and drones, overwhelming local air defense and resulting in significant civilian casualties and widespread damage. Ukrainian authorities reported death, injuries, and severe damage to residential buildings, factories, and schools. In response to the devastating impact of Russia's Iskander-M missiles, Ukrainian President Zelensky has made an urgent appeal for Western allies to supply long-range Tomahawk missiles to bolster his country's defense capabilities. Further complicating the strategic landscape is the strengthening military cooperation between Russia and Iran. Iran has claimed that Russia is now reliant on its indigenously developed missile and drones, signaling a potential increase in military support. Former IRGC chief Mohammad Ali Jafari boasted of Iran's military self-sufficiency and its capacity to export advanced weaponry. This partnership is reportedly a two-way street, as leaked Russian defense documents suggest Iran is seeking to modernize its own aging air force through a multi-billion-euro deal to purchase 48 Su-35 fighter jets from Russia, although deliveries have reportedly been delayed by Moscow's own military requirement for the war in Ukraine. In response to Russia's perceived momentum, Western allies are grappling with how to proceed, revealing both a willingness to consider significant escalation and deep internal divisions over strategy. France is reportedly preparing for a potential direct intervention, with plans to deploy up to 7,000 troops to Ukraine as early as 2026. French Army Chief Pierre Hill confirmed Paris combat readiness, outlining the proposal as part of a wider European framework of security guarantees for Ukraine. This move represents one of the most substantial potential escalations by a NATO member since the conflict began and signals a growing impatience with the war's trajectory. However, this hawkish stance is not universally shared across Europe. A major point of contention has emerged within the European Union regarding a controversial plan to utilize over $200 billion in frozen Russian sovereign assets to finance Ukraine's reconstruction and war effort. Belgium, where the majority of these assets are held, has become a vocal opponent of the plan. Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever issued a stark warning to other EU leaders, highlighting the profound legal and financial risk associated with such a move. He quoted Russia's own threat of consequences till eternity and pointed out that even the European Central Bank has identified systematic dangers in the proposal. Both Belgium's Prime Minister and its Defense Minister have argued that confiscating the funds could paradoxically prolong the war, invite severe retaliation from Moscow, and place an unacceptable financial burden and risk on Belgium itself. This growing fracture within the EU underscores the difficulty of maintaining a unified front and the complex challenges of escalating economic pressure on Russia without causing significant self-harm. Simultaneously, a complex diplomatic situation is unfolding in Northeast Asia, where U.S. President Donald Trump is attempting to re-engage with North Korea ahead of his scheduled visit to the APEC summit in South Korea. Trump has sent a series of overtures or love calls to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, suggesting a meeting is 100% open and even acknowledging North Korea's status as a nuclear power. These statements are seen as an attempt to bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table through a combination of flattery and realism, departing from the official U.S. government policy goal of complete denuclearization. Trump's approach appears to be based on the personal relationship he fostered with Kim during his previous term, with the possibility of a lightning meeting without a set agenda being floated as a way to achieve a breakthrough. However, North Korea's response has been decidedly cool, signaling a preference for its anti-Western alliance in a move widely interpreted as a snub to Washington. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hui, a veteran diplomat who played a key role in past negotiations with the U.S., announced that she would be visiting Russia and Belarus during the exact period of Trump's tour of Asia. The absence of such a critical figure during a potential window for dialogue is seen as an indirect rejection of the possibility of a summit. Analysts suggest Pyongyang is deliberately strengthening its solidarity with Russia and China, sending a clear message that it is not desperate for talks with the U.S. and is instead prioritizing its relationship with like-minded autocratic regimes. North Korea has backed its diplomatic maneuvering with provocative military action, escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula just days before President Trump's arrival in the region. In a significant show of force, Pyongyang launched 2 projectiles in a high-stakes missile test, which flew approximately 350 kilometers before striking targets within North Korea. This launch was the first of its kind since May and the first since Lee Jae-myung was elected president of South Korea. A major concern for regional and international security is the potential hypersonic capability of these new weapons. Hypersonic missiles can travel at speed exceeding 6,000 kilometers per hour and are capable of maneuvering mid-flight, making them extremely difficult for existing missile defense systems to intercept. With this test, North Korea joins an exclusive and dangerous club of nations possessing such advanced technology, including Russia, China, and the United States. The U.S. swiftly condemned the launch as a destabilizing action and a clear violation of United Nations resolution. In response to the growing threat, South Korea has moved to bolster its own defense and deterrent capabilities. Seoul announced plans to deploy its domestically developed Pyongyang 5 monster missile by the end of the year and also unveiled a new advanced attack submarine. These measures demonstrate South Korea's resolve to counter North Korean military advancement and maintain a credible defense posture. The cycle of diplomatic overtures being met with military provocations highlights the fragile and volatile security environment in Northeast Asia, where the risk of miscalculation remains dangerously high. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. With the world facing 2 simultaneous high-stake crises, which do you see as the more immediate and greater threat to global stability? A potential direct military intervention by a NATO country like France in the Ukraine war, which could trigger a continental conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia leading to World War III, or North Korea's successful development of hypersonic missiles combined with its deepening alliance with Russia and China, which could destabilize Northeast Asia and lead to a new Korean War. And why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.